Welcome back, everybody, to Let's Talk About Sleep. If you'll notice, it looks a little bit different today because I just got a ring light, so hopefully the lighting will be a little bit, nicer. Here's the book, as I always mention. As I always say, these videos are for educational purposes only. With that being said, let's talk about today's topic, which is hallucinations. Hypnagogic and hypnopompic hallucinations. What are they? Well, recently I had a video on sleep paralysis, okay? And what is sleep paralysis is basically the body, or the mind, I should say, waking up out of REM sleep, REM sleep, but the body is still kind of in REM sleep, which means it's paralyzed, okay? So the person is kind of half awake, and the body's paralyzed, the mind is partially awake, and the person can feel like they're locked in, they're frankly paralyzed. It can be a very scary situation. A corollary to that, though, is because the mind is in this half REM sleep state, they can also hear things and see things, all right? So what happens is, let's take a step back. REM sleep, or REM sleep, that's when we dream, okay? It's rapid eye movement sleep. And typically what happens during rapid eye movement sleep is, we dream throughout the night, but the dreams in REM sleep, they tend to be more action-oriented. They tend to be more emotional. There's different, there's more memorable things that happen in REM sleep as opposed to other stages of sleep. So in non-REM, people can be dreaming about things like, mundane activities, like going to the store or something like that. Whereas REM sleep, we tend to really remember those. What's the purpose of this? Well, no one really knows. We think it may be memory consolidation. Regardless, what can happen is when people are in a situation where they're kind of waking up out of REM sleep specifically, they can have these sleep paralysis, but they can also, like I said, hear things or see things. As you're drifting off into sleep, that's called hypnagogic hallucinations. As you're waking up, it's called hypnopompic hallucinations. Okay, and there's not really a difference as far as, one is associated with this versus one is more associated with that. It's just more the naming. Okay, the most common situation where you see this, or the situation where you see this most commonly, I should say, is narcolepsy. Okay, narcolepsy is a condition where people are very, very sleepy throughout the daytime, and they also have sleep-related symptoms such as sleep paralysis and these hallucinations. Okay, one of the questions I always ask my patients is, as you're drifting off into sleep or as you're waking up, do you hear somebody, calling your name, or the doorbell ringing, or do you see shadows or things moving across the room? In narcolepsy, it tends to be more visual than auditory, but either way, there is actually some reports of this whole notion. I talked about this recently, that this whole thing of people saying they were abducted by aliens actually is a situation where they're having hallucinations, sleep paralysis, and what happens a lot of times is because they're paralyzed, there's a lot of fear involved, and they tend to get very negatively charged hallucinations because of dreams. So somebody with narcolepsy will say, I'm paralyzed. I see this dark figure in the corner. I have a friend who actually reported this dark figure in the corner coming at me, and I can't move. It's frightening. So this whole notion of alien abduction, right? People are paralyzed. They feel like they're getting poked and prodded. So you do hear these kind of stories. Now, there's actually some theories in the medical literature that alien abductions are actually hypnagogic or hypnopompic hallucinations along with sleep paralysis. It's possible. Okay, I'm not going to say that aliens are here or not here, but that's a possibility as far as what they experience. Okay, so narcolepsy is a condition of REM sleep. So REM sleep happens when it shouldn't, and I made a whole video on that. So that's the condition where you see this most commonly. But you can also see it in other things. Sleep apnea, that's a big one I always talk about. An irregular sleep schedule, right, where somebody is kind of, let's say they work night shifts and then they go to sleep in the daytime. Their sleep cycles are off, so they may go into REM sleep very quickly, and as a result of that, have experiences such as this. irregular sleep schedule, like I said, sleep deprivation could possibly do it. Okay, or if somebody is REM sleep deprived, let's say from let's say smoking marijuana chronically, that can deprive somebody of REM sleep. If they stop and they, the REM sleep comes back full force, we call that REM rebound. Something like this could happen. Okay, so as I always say in these videos, if something like this is happening, by itself doesn't necessarily mean anything, right? There's not any danger in having these bizarre hallucinations, but the question is always why, right? And why is this happening? And that really leads us to investigation, like doing a sleep test, for example. Now, there are other conditions where people will have hallucinations, but if we're just talking about strictly sleep-related ones, that's kind of what we're looking into. Is there something organically disrupting the sleep? Okay. So that's today's video. Please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Once we do, I will have a lucky viewer get a signed copy of this. The link to this book, the Amazon link, is in the description. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section. I will get to all of them. I will be answering all the questions in usually one video towards the end of the month. So be on the lookout for that. And until next time, sleep well.